Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to rate on the 7-game NBA main slate on Thursday. And I know it's only been a week break, but man, it feels like forever. So I'm super excited to get back to the daily grind. I hope you guys had a good all-star break, enjoyed your time off. But for me, again, I'm ready to get back into these NBA games. If you guys are new to the channel, if this is your first time watching, welcome. My name is DK. I make content for daily fantasy sports, for player props, prize picks, and for NBA Top Shot / NFL all day. Premium content, I do offer that on patreon.com. NBA package for this month, you get esports for free, which has been going really well for myself and a lot of members as well. If you guys are unable to watch these videos, I do upload on Apple Podcasts. Link is down below. And the sponsor of this video is PrizePicks, which is a player prop site. Again, if this is your first time watching, you're not familiar. There's a lot of different ways you can play for NBA. You can take over-under on fantasy points, which is not up yet. Should be up probably later tonight or tomorrow. You can take over-under on straight-up points, assists, rebounds, three-pointers made, blocks and steals, rebounds plus points plus assists. So a lot of different ways you can play. They have every single sport you can think of. They have futures, too, like second-half futures. If you want to, take over-under on like Giannis double-doubles for the remaining games, you can do that. But yeah, how it works is you pick 2 to 5 player props. You can mix and match sports, and you can win up to 10 extra money. So if you guys want to give it a try, you can sign up and use my code DKDFS for a 100% match up to $100. Again, that's basically free $100 to play with on the site. And finally, I want to shout out a couple of the big winners here from the last slate before the All-Star break. So it was a good one, but still a very tilting one because you had massive chalk, Jimmy and Bam, get 10 extra minutes, double overtime for chalk, Jimmy and Bam. I was so tilted that night because of that. It was still a great night. My breakdown was that I was going to Luka, who went absolutely off, and then stacked the late game with guys like Reggie, Zubac, who else was it? One other guy who did, Schroeder, who all did really well, even in a blowout. But again, so those guys only get 3 quarters, but massive chalk, Jimmy and Bam, get 10 extra minutes to bail out the people that I was so pissed. But we still had some big wins. Cam was in first until the very end. I think Hartenstein pushed him out in garbage time, but still a massive win for Cam, over $2,000. AZ with a big win as well. First place in the $40 single entry, winning $1,000. So yeah, it was a great night for us. It was a good week for me in esports. Call of Duty, I had like a $700 win. For CSGO, there was a late stat correction, like 2 hours after all these games locked to bump me down a bit. So that was another just extremely tilting day for me. So I was winning $5,000, got bumped down to like $100. That was not fun at all. But yeah, we had a lot of big winners. I think this is the All-Star game, or was the Showdown? Yeah, I think this is the All-Star game. And this is what you really like to see. Dylan, he showed me his results for the first half of the season. So you can click on this, you can see his results. Almost $10,000 profit in the first half of the season. So again, that is the stuff you absolutely love to see. So again, congrats to everyone. Congrats to Dylan on the great first half of the season. I hope to keep that going. And let's talk about this. Let's get into the slate now. 7 games. So we'll start off with Cleveland and Detroit. So big piece of news here for Cleveland is Garland and LeVert are both out, and we have Markkanen most likely coming back. So the big question mark is here. The big question mark is who is going to start at the point guard position, because Rondo is technically the backup point, but they have not been wanting to start him. So if I had to guess right now, I'd actually say that Goodwin picks up the start at the point. If that is the case at 4K, I think he makes a pretty good value play, right? He's been basically out of the rotation over the last week of games, but I would assume that he starts because that's who started when Garland was out previous to LeVert coming to the team. Again, he is out as well, so we'll keep an eye on that starting lineup. But I think, again, Goodwin, Rondo kind of split the point guard duties. Both are going to be good values. I think a guy like Isaac Okoro, it's gross, but he should play like around 30 minutes. He's 3.3K. I think he's in play for value, and even Chetty's in play at 4K, who would I expected a little bit more run as well. So I think those four all look pretty decent for value. As far as the bigs go with Allen, Mobley, and Love, I think my favorite of the three is Kevin Love, who is the best point per minute guy of the bunch. If we get like 25 to 30 minutes from him against Detroit, I think he looks like the best option there. And then Markkanen in his first game back at 5'8", this kind of feels like a neutral play to me. On the Detroit side, so Cade Cunningham is only 6.6K. I played him 2 games ago against Washington at very, very low ownership. He got in massive foul trouble. The next night goes for a really big game. Again, just how it always works. But I think he's a decent play here. If we're going to get 35-plus minutes from Cade Cunningham, I know the matchup's not the best, but I do like the price point there. And then Saddiq Bey. I mean, he's been playing really well over the last stretch of games. 30, 40, 39, and 50 fantasy points. So no issue with either of the top guys there for Detroit. And then for value, the one guy I'm mentioning here, Marvin Bagley at 3-4. He's been playing the backup power forward, been playing around 20 minutes. If he continues to get those type of minutes, I think he's a decent value. Boston and Brooklyn, it's basically a fully healthy Boston team. The two top guys here are Tatum and Brown. Neither are going to be standout plays for me. I think they're both fine filler plays. Robert Williams at 7-4 feels priced about right. You have a couple guys priced up from when Boston was a little bit more shorthanded. Likes of like Derek White and Al Horford. Everyone kind of looks like secondary plays for me for Boston. Nothing that really stands out. I guess my favorite would be the top two guys, but again, they're more secondary plays for me. On the Brooklyn side, so the big three is still out. At the top, we have Andre Drummond, whose minutes have not necessarily been secured. 24, 23, and 19 in his first 3 games. We know he's a really good point per minute guy, so I think he's firmly in play. Like if he plays 25 minutes, I think he's going to pay off that salary. But again, I don't think those minutes are necessarily secure. I think the safest play probably is Seth Curry. He's doing a lot of the ball handling, a lot of the playmaking. So he probably looks like the safest. He also has shooting guard, small forward eligibility, which is nice. Patty Mills finally had a good game when no one played him. He shot well. Kind of feels like a chase. He's been struggling a bit. LaMarcus Aldridge, I do think is a fair value as well at 4.8. I think he gets the backup 5 run. And he is a little bit cheaper. I think there's a little bit less risk with him as opposed to Drummond at over 6K. Bruce Brown at 4.7 is fine, but we do have James Johnson back. It's one more guy in the rotation. James Johnson himself, if he starts at 3.5, I do think makes for probably the best value on this team. So keep an eye on that starting lineup there for Brooklyn. Atlanta and Chicago. So John Collins is doubtful, so don't expect him to play. Clint Capella, I think, once again stands out here at 5.8. He should play over 30 minutes in a competitive game. Only played 23 here last game. That was in a massive blowout. So again, I expect over 30 minutes from him, which makes him a good play at sub 6K price point. And then I like Trae Young, too, at sub 10K. Good matchup against Chicago. I think both the main guys here for Atlanta, in Young and Capella, both look good. As far as secondary options, they all kind of look similar. The likes of like Bogdanovich, Herter, Hunter, Gallinari, I think all make for decent plays. I don't know if I'm prioritizing any of those guys, but they all make for pretty solid options, secondary plays for me. On the Chicago side, so we do have Zach LaVine back. Still no Lonzo, still no Caruso. As far as the two top guys in DeRozan and Vooch, they're overpriced in my opinion. I think LaVine's the easiest to get to of the big three, but he is still not super cheap at 8.7. The two, other guards in Kobe and Io feel a little bit overpriced with Zach LaVine back. So there's not much that stands out for me on the Chicago side. Memphis and Minnesota, so Ja Morant at 10.4. Does have upside, but the price point doesn't really stand out to me. So I think he's fine, but not a priority. As far as other options go, Triple J, Bane, both feel priced about right, maybe a little bit overpriced. Steven Adams is playing really well besides that last game. Also, the minutes have been there. This is a big matchup, too, against Minnesota. So if we get like over 30 minutes from Steven Adams, I think he's a fair play there in the mid-range. Clark will play the backup 5, but he feels, a little bit overpriced. And then the value here for Memphis, nothing that really stands out to me. So let's move on to Minnesota. Minnesota now basically fully healthy. I think the big three are all good tournament options. I don't know if any of the three really stand out, the likes of Cat, D'Lo, and Anthony Edwards. I think Pat Beverly is once again probably your safest bet. Should play around 30 minutes. Will probably get you, 25 fantasy points or so. I think he makes for the safest play. But that's probably it for me on Minnesota. Phoenix and OKC. So we know Chris Paul is going to be out for a while. I think it's like at least a month. 6 to 8 weeks, so a little bit longer. Devin Booker, I think, is going to get a lot of ownership on the slate, but for good reason. He's going to do a lot more of the playmaking now. He's going to do a lot more of the ball handling. So hard not to like Booker here in a great spot against OKC. I think he really stands out. Now, as far as who starts, I think Phoenix can do a couple different things. They could move Cam Johnson to the starting lineup and run like a little bit of a bigger lineup and just have Devin Booker play the point. They could also throw either Holiday or Elfrid Payton in the starting lineup and start one of them at the point guard. My guess is it's Aaron Holiday. He's got more minutes the previous game as opposed to Elfrid Payton. So Like if Aaron Holiday starts at the point and he plays like 25 to 30 minutes, I think he's going to become a pretty good value play. So keep an eye on the starting lineup there. Shamet could get some more run too as well. So, but yeah, starting lineup's going to be pretty important. As far as the other options go, Bridges, Crowder, both feel like secondary plays to me. I think DeAndre, the sub 7K price point in this matchup looks pretty good. 30 plus fancy points now in the last 4 games. And again, I love targeting bigs against OKC. JaVale McGee, you can always use him in tournaments, right? He's going to play around 10 to 15 minutes. He's going to be super productive if he's on the court, but he's not at a super cheap price point. On the Thunder side, so we finally have Shea back, so that kind of takes Giddey out of play for me. Baisley feels too pricey as well. Lou Dort is still out. Kenrich is still out. Ty Jerome's still out. There's not much that really stands out to me on the Thunder side. I guess like whoever starts at the 5, like if Roby starts again at 3-7, then he's a fair play. 22 and 29 minutes over the last couple games. So monitor the starting lineup there, but not a lot that stands out to me on the Thunder side. Denver and Sacramento, I think Nikola Jokic at 12-5 always makes for a good play. Great matchup here. He's going to play big minutes. So if you have the salary, I think Jokic makes for a good spend up. Barton, Gordon feel like more secondary plays. I would lean Barton over Gordon if I had to pick. Monte Morris, kind of the same thing. Value-wise, not much that really stands out to me. I mean, you can always take a shot on a guy like Bones Highland off the bench. You know, if the game blows out, he'll get extended run. But yeah, not much here. I would guess that, you know, you get the combination of like JaMychal Green, Zeke, Najee playing the backup 5 run with Boogie Cousins out, but more of a larger field tournament play. On the Sacramento side, so it was really interesting that last game, and we got news that they were going to extend the minutes of the starter. So I wonder if that's going to be, you know, a continuous thing. Are we going to get big minutes for like, you know, is Alvin Gentry going to run a tight rotation, right? Because if he is, then I think Fox and Sabonis are still pretty solid plays. Now, the only risk I see with Sabonis is foul trouble against Nikola Jokic. If he can stay out of foul trouble and he plays close to 40 minutes, I think 9K feels a little bit too cheap for Sabonis. And then De'Aaron Fox, right? He played like 41 minutes last game. Now, sure, that was without David Mitchell. We do have David Mitchell most likely coming back, but you know, if we're going to get close to 40 minutes from the main 2 guys, I think they are in play. The question is, are they going to keep that rotation, or are they going to go back to the rotation of the previous games where they kind of extended, you know, the rotation a bit, and then there was less minutes for Sabonis and Fox. So it's going to be interesting to see what the minutes are like for those main guys. David Mitchell, 4-8, again, doesn't really stand out, and that kind of takes DiVincenzo out of play with David Mitchell back. So probably not getting to anyone else. We also have Jeremy Lamb back. It's mainly just the main guys I'm looking to on the Sacramento side. And then final game here, Golden State and Portland. So this game does have a little bit of blowout risk. We do have my boy Nurkic out for at least a month, which is no fun. But yeah, Steph Curry, same thing I always say. It's a good matchup, but he still is a little bit overpriced. Obviously, he's been playing for tournaments. Klay Thompson at almost 7K now feels priced about right. He had struggled last couple games shooting-wise, but we know he's a guy that can get hot and can go for like 40-plus fancy points. Wiggins doesn't stand out. Neither does Poole. As far as the bigs go, with Looney and Kuminga, I think they're fair values. Like Looney's 4.4. He probably sees mid-20s minutes. Kuminga at 4.5. Should see, you know, if he starts again, low 20s minutes. I mean, I think Otto Porter's fine for value. They started Gary Payton last game. I'm curious to see if he starts, like he just second says. Okay, so actually he is expected to start. Okay, so if that is the case, if Gary Payton starts, I think he's a fair value play. He played 25 minutes last game. What I will say, though, is number one, he's not going to have 6 steals and a block again. Okay? He had 6 steals and a block. That's not going to happen. Number two, these minutes are not secure. If Gary Payton starts and plays 5 minutes tomorrow, would not be surprised one bit. So you always got to factor that in. And finally, Portland. So obviously no Dame. And now Nurkic is out for at least a month, so they are shorthanded. As far as the main guys go, the likes of like Simons and Hart, I think they're both in play. More tournament options, though. Obviously, a little bit of blowout risk, but these seem to be the 2 guys kind of leading the offense, that being Simons, that being Hart. We know Hart's a guy who can stuff the stat sheet. Simons will handle the ball a ton. Justice Winslow's also played really well for this team. He's been playing low 30s minutes, a guy that can stuff the stat sheet. I think he's a fair play in the mid-range. And then where it's going to be interesting is who starts for Portland. They don't have Drew Eubanks in the player pool, who is now on the team. But my guess is it's Watford that starts. And if that is the case, I think he makes for a really good value, only 3.4K. You might get some Greg Brown backup 5 run. I think he's interesting for value. We'll see what they do with the rotation with him and Eubanks. But whoever starts the 5, if Watford starts, I think he's going to become a really good value. And then like this grouping of like LB and McMorr kind of split time. Neither really stands out to me. They're more secondary options for the Portland Trailblazers. But yeah, guys, that will wrap it up for the video. So again, it's great to have NBA back. It's great to talk NBA again. Again, it feels like it's been forever since we had an NBA slate. So I'm super, super excited for the 7-gamer. But yeah, guys, if you have been enjoying the content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Really appreciate all your continued support. Thanks again, and I'll see you all in the next video.